market.
So when you think about body image amongst cisgendered men who are attracted to men, what are kind of the initial thoughts that come to your head?
When I think of a cisgendered gay man, blonde hair, blue eyes, a six-pack, every advertisement you see on TV or every time they depict a gay male person, it's always a beautiful looking person externally.
I think the standards that we place upon ourselves are unrealistic.
I find that our body image is very competitive in the gay community. I feel like we're all just trying to outcompete each other, just to get the attention that we want and validation.
Gay men generally are so concerned about how they look and how their body looks within their own community, and it tends to overtake the potential of who they could be.
And sometimes when you don't fit into the idea of what they expect you to look like, they automatically don't look at you, or you become the wallflower. We come from a generation that's trying to move forward, but at the same time, we're also stuck in our ways of what ideally we think someone should look like.
Somehow our community grabbed into that image and then replicate it as how everyone should look like.
Do gay men ever discriminate or exclude other gay men based on their physical appearance? Is this a thing that happens?
To some degree, I think gay men are really terrible about the way that they discriminate and discriminate around body type.
Do you want the honest answer or do you want the PC answer? Because the honest answer is yes.
Yes, they do. Quite often, actually. It's a very common thing.
I think that's something that actually we as a community need to face into. To be as diverse as we like to think we are, we need to get rid of the discrimination.
My name is Glenn Hosking and I'm an Associate Professor of Psychology at La Trobe University and also a clinical psychologist. I work a lot within the gay community and have done for the last 20 years. I'm also a member of the gay community and actively have done lots of things from advocacy to everything else in the gay community. Body image really refers to the understanding or concept that we bring to our own bodies. And so people can have a healthy body image where they have a generally healthy and helpful view of themselves and a view of their body, or they can of course have an unhealthy body image where their view of themselves and their body is really unhealthy and unhelpful, and that can pose a whole lot of risks for their overall well-being. So when we think about age and body image, what's generally noticed within this space is that as someone ages, their sense of body image tends to deteriorate. And so they tend to, in a particular period of time, struggle with how their bodies might be changing as a result of aging.
Aging almost seems to be a sin. We're told we need liposuction, we're told we need skincare, we're told we need Botox, we need procedures to look young. Mentally, I still can see myself as being a 25 or 30-year-old. I don't think of myself as aging until I look in the mirror.
So in relation to body image and race, people can make real comments about how someone's race determines how they look. And so they might be determined by the colour of their skin or other physical characteristics that are very much connected to their race.
So in Australia, I am Asian. And that has an impact on the way I see myself by the nature of my skin color and also the way I see my body. If the message and the image that being portrayed to us are constantly promoting whiteness, of course we are going to be influenced by that.
When we're talking about femininity and masculinity amongst gay men, one of the things that we really know is that there is a real focus on masculinity.
So we've got the chest, we have the shoulders, we have the arms. So for most of us, that is a sign of masculinity.
People have an idea of feminine men, being skinny and limp wrists and, long hair with pretty eyelashes or with makeup on and stuff like that. Or the muscle men being masculine.
These masculine men were kind of idolized, and so we've kind of adopted that.
In the recent years, the masculine men are the ones that sound the most feminine when they open their mouth and talk, with the yes queen or the clacking their fingers or the clacking their fans.
We're trying to be as masculine as we can, but a lot of us aren't masculine.
Unfortunately, though, we tend to put people into little boxes depending on what they look like, and then subsequently treat them like that.
One of the things we know about the gay community is that there is, much more than other communities, a greater focus on a party scene and a party lifestyle. So when men in the gay community see that party lifestyle, it's a real contrast from perhaps where they have been, where they've perhaps not connected with their sexuality, where they've perhaps not felt accepted by a community, and that getting into that kind of environment can be a really important part for someone in terms of connecting with their sexuality and connecting with their community.
I remember the first time I walked into a gay bar, I didn't know what was going on. I was a teenager. I think I was just a wallflower watching everything that was going on.
It was very scary. I was a very shy guy. I didn't really know how to be open. I just was in my shell for a very long time.
Coming to Australia, there's a more diverse group of people out here. So you're not just white or you're not just Asian. There is a big mix of us. And then you go, where do I really fit in?
I was very fortunate to be taken under the wing of a choreographer at the Market Hotel. And he actually invited me to a drag show. And I saw my first drag show. And then I looked at all these men around me and I thought, oh my God, I'm home. I could breathe.
To be around people that feels the same way, where we don't judge each other, we do judge each other. But
Being in the gay community can be a lot of fun. It can be really eye-opening, educational. It's where some people find their chosen family.
It wasn't so much a gay male that kind of welcomed me into the gay world. It was actually a drag queen. I walked in and she goes, oh, you look uncomfortable. And I said, oh, I'm new. Introduced me to her friends, introduced me to other people, introduced me as me being new. And ever since then, that kind of has sat and resonated.
So it's awesome, the things that we get to do. I mean, we party well. One thing we do know how to do well is throw a party.
it was more of a confirmation that yes, I am gay. But I thought about it, I rejected it, but now I'm part of the community, I know that's who I am. I think that answered your question. I can't remember what your question was.
No, that's perfect. Excellent. We'll move on to the next part. Do you think it's possible to be a gay man in the gay community and not be affected by body image in some sort of way?
Do I think it's possible to be a gay man in the gay community and not be affected by body image? No, don't think so. Being in the gay world, watching the gay men go by, you realize that how your body looks is very important. And so then I realized very quickly people were looking for very specific traits. If you have a good body, people automatically turn to you, because as soon as you have that good body, your confidence level is boosted, your shirt comes off in a nightclub, or your shirt is off at a beach party. So that means people are now going to admire you for what you look like.
Generally, when you're out there in gay land, body image seems to be such a big part of how we operate now. It seems to be a competition now as to who looks the hottest, who looks the fittest, who looks the best, who's got the less body fat. blah, 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 as opposed to let's all get together and have a great time and embrace how someone looks.
Groups of gay men are much more likely to be in environments where their appearance and how they look is very centred to that environment. Gay men are much more likely to take their tops off at parties, to take their tops off in nightclubs, to pose photos on social media without their tops on.
We are the subscriber of the gay culture. And if the gay culture only embrace a certain type of the body, then our psyche will start to believe that's what I have to aspire to. That's what I have to look like in order to feel a sense of belonging.
What this can often do is really create this ideal, which can create a real bias and a real focus on how someone looks, because they feel that that's going to determine their level of social interaction, their worth within the community.
And we crave that sense of belonging because we have been told since we were a child that the simple fact we are attracted to the same sex means that we are an outsider.
So, what is the ideal body? So, in a general sense, we're going to be very general here. What would you say the body type that gay men aspire to or are most attracted to? What are the physical characteristics of the ideal body?
If we're talking about the ideal body, number one, a good head of hair.
Beautifully cut hair.
Number two, chiseled jaw.
A handsome face.
You gotta be 6'2".
We're working our way down, broad shoulders, big chest,
Pecs.
and tall.
Nice arms.
Strong arms, six-pack.
6 packs, 8 packs if you can get it.
A chiseled body with the V line going in, so it leaves a little bit of thirst, you know?
Good glamour muscles.
It's all in proportion. They probably all have 8% body fat.
Strong legs, great butt, and a great package, essentially.
A big ass.
Hairless
With a perfect smile.
Tan skin, usually Caucasian.
is the image that we're bombarded with.
That's what most gay males gravitate towards.
And for some reason, we have put that all together and think that that's the key to success.
Even though you may not physically attracted to that particular body, it is an automatic response. That person is hot because that person fit with the ideal body in that subculture. If you are muscular,
Masculine.
if you are white,
And in their 20s and 30s.
then it will be easier for you to gain acceptance and entry into the scene than if you are anything other than those things.
It's an image that has been projected in our minds for decades. This isn't a new thing, and it's always illustrated as strength, virility, being attractive, being appealing, being sexy, being strong, masculine without being aggressive.
Because of the value that's often placed on presenting as particularly masculine in the gay community, often what we do see is people working very hard to present themselves that doesn't present in a feminine kind of way. Often we see this historically from an early age. Young children might be told not to act in a feminine way by the community, by their parents, which presents a huge range of issues for younger people. But we do often then find that amongst adult gay men that there is a focus, because the value that's placed on being masculine, on presenting oneself in that particular way.
It's like, I don't know, just a flair to everyone. It's just like, oh, look, they're standing out, it's peacocking, they're showing off their tail, and we're all gagging for it.
You have a group of gay boys sitting down and having a chat about something, and as soon as a hot boy walks past, their entire conversation for the next hour will be that hot boy and what he was wearing, and did you see how big his bulge was, or how big his ass was. People point it out because they notice these things, you know?
So a big part about having this ideal body shape and body size is that it can create status, it can create attention, and it can create belonging. And so all of these things are appealing to people within the gay community.
Those standards are extremely unrealistic. They're unattainable. And it's the chasing of those unattainable standards that's actually really dangerous, because you get a lot of guys trying to live up to or to attain the unattainable. And it's unfair that people feel that they need to attain that.
Research does indicate that groups of gay men are typically higher in terms of their standard of body image. And so gay men will typically exercise more, typically pay more attention to their diet, and also typically have a greater proportion of eating disorders and other mental health related issues to body image.
When I was younger, when I was like 18, if I would go out, I didn't really feel that attractive. Like, I was still growing into my body, but like, I didn't have any muscle. I would feel so self-conscious that I wouldn't want to take off my top. I wouldn't have anyone really making eye contact or looking at me in a way that makes me feel good. I felt like no one was talking to me, and mostly because I would do something and it didn't really get received at all. So I'm like, am I doing something wrong? I did become obese while at university. I was going through some very emotional times through an abusive relationship. My way out of it was to binge on food and just have comfort food, but that led to a binge purging bulimia type situation where I would gorge myself on food, but then I would feel sick. But it wasn't really until I really looked at myself one day in the mirror, knew that my relationship was failing, and knew that I wanted to come back into the community, that I'm like, oh, I can't look like this. I have to change. I had that idea of what people were expecting, the expectation of body image. So that's why I had this huge drive to get there. So over the course of 6 months, I worked my ass off every day at the gym, watching what I ate. And I lost 35 kilos in 6 months. And then I got to a point where I couldn't lose any more weight. I was literally just skin and bone. But in my mental state, I thought that I had weight to lose. So I was really causing harm on myself. And then I started to put on muscle. I was training very hard and being strict on my eating. I would go to the gym before I went to the actual club just to get that extra little bit of pump. So I was pushing myself to be able to be this person, creating this illusion that I look like this all the time.
Did you notice in a general sense people were giving you more attention because you were getting fitter and you were, having this type of body?
So over the course of my transformation, I did notice that I was getting a lot more attention from particular guys. It made me more confident. It made me more okay to be in my own body. Guys would come up to me and just touch my muscles. And it's like, oh, you've gotten bigger. And it's like, oh, you're looking good. Like, they would start to use that type of language towards me, which I never really had before. And so I'm like, oh, this is new. I like it. But because I had that positive reinforcement, I kept on doing what I was doing because I was like, oh, I've got the attention through this, I'm just going to keep doing that. I could imagine that the people that I talk to now probably wouldn't give me the time of day back when I was obese and fat because I did not meet their standard. I do feel like I get body dysmorphia. I do find that when someone compliments me on how I look, I don't see it because I'm just thinking about my problem areas and I know that they're not focusing on that, but in my mind I am. Like, I still have an idea of what I look like, and that's who I used to be 5 years ago, and that's just so ingrained in my head that I still feel like that person. For me, I just become hyper aware of something that I'm not happy with, and then I just focus on it until I can change it. And sometimes I can't change it, so then I'm just stuck with it, and then it just rots my mind.
Do gay men ever assume that because you look a certain way that you have an ego? Is there a stigma associated with people who are fit, do you think?
So I feel like there is a stigma, and I do feel like I am stereotyped to have an ego. Some people generally say, I just wasn't expecting you to be so nice or friendly, or have a heart, or have compassion, but obviously for other people they just see me as a jock, and they've already got a stigma towards a jock to having an ego.
Why do you think gay guys kind of make that association, that instant association with fitness and ego?
I feel like gay guys make that association because there is a lot of egotistical behaviour with muscle queens showing off their body and only being concerned about themselves but not the people around them. And it's quite common, and you will see it wherever you look. I always see myself as a work in progress, so I don't see a particular end goal that I want to get to. I just want to keep along this journey. I've seen the growth and development that I've made throughout it, and I just want to continue with that momentum. I don't know where I'll end it at, but all I know is it makes me feel good, and I like going to the gym and just keeping fit because it just makes me feel present.
One of the things that we know about the preoccupation of body image amongst gay men is that there is a greater proportion of things like body dysmorphic disorder and body dissatisfaction. And so someone who experiences these conditions to a level that means it's a diagnosable condition has their social, emotional, occupational functioning impacted. So they might struggle to maintain appropriate relationships. They might not be able to concentrate at work. They might stop working as a result. So all of these things have this significant impact on someone's overall day-to-day functioning.
So do we see examples of the ideal body at Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras? What are your thoughts around body image and that particular event?
Sydney Gay Mardi Gras and body image. On a personal note, I do struggle with the whole concept because I see so many guys, particularly those guys in the parades, working so hard to have the perfect body. In the same breath, there are also people in the parades who are just themselves and happy to show their body. But I don't understand is why everyone has to show everything and be practically naked to make a statement.
So something like Sydney Mardi Gras is very much a double-edged sword. And so whilst on one sense it promotes this great sense of inclusion, it celebrates the broad LGBTIQ plus communities, it enables people outside of that community to experience and connect with that community. For people in the community, it can provide a number of risk factors. So some of these might include a real central focus on how someone looks, a real central focus on the sexualised attitude around that, and that this can actually create some level of anxiety within the community if they don't look a particular way.
It can be very difficult to look at sometimes because, I mean, I remember my first Mardi Gras, and again, it came down to that thing of I couldn't see me walking up that street. It took me a long time to realise that it was a protest and that actually why we're here. Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras is actually a really important event. Unfortunately, again, that whole body image thing can come into play where you have to go into the gym for 12 months. You've got a 12-month lead time. It's almost like the Olympic cycle. You're training for Mardi Gras.
When it comes to like the build-up for a circuit party or Sydney Mardi Gras, I feel like a lot of people are pushing themselves to look the best that they can because they know everyone else is doing it. So they want to just have a oomph over everyone else. Everyone's going to try and cut as much fat away so they feel confident in themselves, because there's nothing worse than being at a party and feeling like the ugly person there. Because we want to be able to enjoy the experience that we're having and not feel crap about ourselves.
People will ramp up their exercise regime, they'll change their eating habits, they might get Botox or other forms of cosmetic surgery, all in an effort to conform to a particular ideal that's presented to them.
I know some PTs that offer a discount on their service just for Mardi Gras. Obviously, they're trying to capitalise on the market. And I would say underwear, especially with gay circuit wear, they would start to actually promote their product differently because they know they have a crowd and they know they have a market for the people that are going.
Have a look at advertising targeting cis gay men. It won't take you long to see that there is a certain type of gay men that advertisers would like us to believe that that's the representation of what cis gay men should be like.
They will probably produce a photo of someone that's in their underwear, that's really fit, that has the ideal body that we're all wanting, and they kind of leave out everyone else.
Every now and then, we might get a different color in relation to skin, but the body is still the same.
I really do believe that gay targeted media generally is always targeted towards the youth. Honestly, once you've hit 50, you don't exist, generally.
People from all communities, whether it be the gay community or the non-gay community, respond well from advertisements that have a focus on sex. And in a community where the focus is more so than others on how you look, it makes sense that advertising is going to target that in a particular way.
So, pout, arch your back, move your leg this way, create a fantasy that you are going to live up to or that you're going to want, that you're going to buy into.
If advertisers, for example, were to show a guy in his mid-50s with a gut in Speedos, I don't think they're going to sell Speedos very well. Put a hot guy in his 20s with a six-pack, of course it's going to sell well. That works to our disadvantage because we're basically saying that people in their 50s without a perfect body should not be able to wear something, for example. I think we're doing ourselves a major disservice.
Most posters for gay events, actually, you see white bodies that are beautifully chiseled. You see things like that and you go, oh, these are the kind of men that are going to be there. I would look at that and be like, I won't fit in. I wouldn't go to a party like that.
So the repetitive culture that we see here, whereby this is the presented ideal about how someone should look, this conditions people that this is how you should look. And of course that's false. Of course gay men can look a whole range of ways and be completely different. But there is this message that comes through that this is how someone should look.
I think when we see these marketing photos, they have absolutely been edited. They've been photoshopped, they've been airbrushed. They've really made the person stand out. And they've really made them not who they really are. I know this because it's been done on me. I've been airbrushed for a particular underwear campaign, posters for clubs and stuff. Everyone sees that and it's just an illusion. It's not true. Me in those photos, yes, I've worked really hard to get my body to that particular shape, but it's only on one day that I have this photo shoot. And I can't sustain that every single day. It's not possible. But I understand from a marketing perspective, it's a complete strategy just to get the money.
If I am completely absorbed into believing that to be gay means that I have to consume certain things, then of course I'm going to be obsessed with it because that will be my idea of belonging. But then if you ask different people, they will say, well, actually, no. We are started questioning and rejecting that idea that you have to be a certain way in order to gain acceptance in the community. There's a lot of conversation about the body in society now. There's a lot of conversation about body positivity.
We do have people with different perspectives of what ideal bodies look like. That is why I think we've got different tribes. The gay community have listed their own or created categories for themselves. We need another category to put ourselves into. We need another box to put ourselves into. But we've created more.
When we talk about tribes, we're really talking about a collective group of people who share a similar kind of sense of identity. And people who are part of this tribe relate to other people because they have a shared value system about themselves.
And a lot of that is done by our physical appearance. we're labelled in those physical appearances.
What are some of the tribes that we have in the gay community, the male gay community? I mean, we have our twinks.
You've got the Twinkies that are like 18-year-olds to like 22, 23. And then once you pass that age group, you go into being a twunk.
A twunk is essentially the next upgrade in the evolutionary tree, where they still look boyish, but they have a little bit of muscle on them, like they do look like they work out.
You've got your jocks, you know, the boys that we're talking about.
And then you've got of course, you've got the femmes who are very skinny, flamboyant with a limp wrist is what they always call it.
The bears that I identify with, who tend to be, you know, a group of people that don't conform to the natural body type or the aesthetic that we have to try and live up to.
You've also got a daddy who's like a little bit of fathery like looks to them, I don't know.
The daddies, apparently I'm a daddy, yay.
We've got the daddies, we've got the silver foxes, we've got the otters, the twinks, the twunks, the jocks. The many, many more that I don't know of. But there's so many. There's way too many to keep up.
I was going to be really cheeky and say we probably have fish as well, but we can have our seahorses.
Do I put myself in a category? No, I don't, because I don't actually know what I would fit into. A platypus. Is that a thing?
I've never belonged to a tribe as such, but I find as I age, I'm now being put into the tribe of daddy. And I find that actually really, really offensive. I'm no one's daddy. I don't want to look after anyone. I don't want to have to teach anyone anything. I'm happy to be a mate and a mentor, but I don't want to be put into that group.
I would say the tribe that I have been labelled as is I am a jock / muscle queen. Am I happy about that? No, because I feel like they're stereotyping me, and I would say I'm more of a geek. That's how I see myself. I'm just goofy.
It's almost like the moment you come out, you have to put yourself into a group, and that's where you belong, and that's who you hang out with. And generally speaking, those tribes are not communicating to create a community, a sense of community.
I think it becomes about people trying to find something that looks like them. And so therefore, I'm going to gravitate to someone that is like-minded and feel secure in that, because if we're like-minded, well, maybe they're going to have similar opinions and then have similar values. Some people can go into certain venues and not feeling comfortable in some venues because maybe their tribe's not there. They can't see themselves there. When I came out, I was confronted, and it probably wasn't good for my own mental health. The body image was, you know, young, slim, muscly, hairless. It wasn't anything that I looked like. I used to have a lot of issues taking my top off at parties, and I would either require a lot of alcohol, which was never good, to get that Dutch courage to sort of try and look like everyone else on the dance floor. When I would shave in the morning, because I did shave back then every day, I stopped looking at myself. And I didn't realise that I had actually stopped looking at my body or my image until I had actually put on a lot of weight. And so it was like, wow, this is not the person I thought I was. And then sort of going through that process of, well, what's important to me. So went on a journey of self-discovery about accepting the fact that I don't look like the posters, and I need to find out what's going to work for me. And, you know, I need to go out there and find my tribe and go out there and find my chosen family. I first discovered the bear community actually in Sydney. A group used to run regular events. It was just a group of guys coming together. It didn't seem to have all of the typical things that you'd go into most gay bars. Like, it wasn't full of twinks, it wasn't full of muscle Marys, guys that weren't sort of too hung up on having a six-pack and, you know, monitoring their body fat percentage. It was filled more with people that sort of looked a little bit more like me. That's who I've chosen to surround myself and feel secure and feel loved within as well. And I think, you know, going on that journey has been, actually it's been pretty good so far. Finding like-minded people where you feel safe and secure, where you can express who you are without being judged.
Would you say that the bear community helps to remind us that the gay community is diverse? Perhaps we get caught up thinking a certain way about body image.
I mean, the bears are a diverse community. However, we can still get caught up in our own divisions, and we need to constantly remind ourselves that, you know, we can have racism within the bear community. People can exclude because of how someone looks, or, you know, are they old enough to be a bear? It's up to the individual. And it's also up to us as leaders to face into people that are talking like that and to say, actually, in our community, we don't want that. We've still got a long way to go, but, you know, what is a bear now? It's actually more about a mindset versus now about physical attributions. Now we have our drag bears. Now we have, you know, our non-binary bears. Our bear flag is just as diverse. Being a bear has sort of certainly helped me about my own body positivity. It's helped me be a lot more outgoing. The things that I've learned is to accept me, and hopefully I can help people to accept themselves as well.
Here's an interesting one. We'll see how you go with this one. So statistically, is it true or false that gay men are more sexually promiscuous than straight men? So if yes, why are gay men more sexually active? It's true or false, that's
Yeah. Okay. It's well known that gay men are more sexually promiscuous than straight men. There are a range of reasons as to why this might be the case, or this is the case. One of the reasons is that there's a great sense of liberation that comes with gay men being able to sexually express themselves. So if someone has gone through a period of their life where they've had to suppress their sexuality, which is the case with most, if not all, gay men at some point or to some level, that being able to express themselves really openly in a sexualised kind of way can actually be quite freeing and quite liberating for them. And sex is an enjoyable act for most people. Most people find a great deal of satisfaction. It's enjoyable for people to engage in sexual activity, and so for people it's something that they often strive to do.
I think it's all about the body when it comes to sex. Sex is it's highly rated in our community. Like, we're kind of animals regarding it.
Like, even the other day, this guy came in to the nightclub and all I could hear in the toilets was him getting railed. And I said to myself, oh, he had masculine voice, macho sounding, big muscles, good body. And all you can hear him was like a screaming Mary in the toilet getting railed.
So the sense of liberation that comes when people are being sexual often means that there's a greater sense of focus on obtaining sexual activity. And one of the ways in which someone can obtain more sexual activity is to look a particular way and have their bodies look a particular way in order to be sexually attractive, in order to have more sexual activity.
Who are the people who can pick up very easily? Same thing, same body, same look, same standard of beauty. Who are the people in porn, starting in the porn? Most of them are white, most of them has a typical body, They're quite athletic, they're quite muscular. Porn, for a lot of people, is our first exposure to the gay culture. Right, for a lot of people. Even before we actually admitting to ourselves I'm gay or I'm same-sex attracted, we are already accessing porn.
Whilst porn within the gay community does have a level of diversity, most of the porn is very much connected around those ideals of someone that is masculine, muscular and young. And that does perpetuate this idea that these are valued commodities within the gay community.
All right, Grindr. So describe what Grindr is to someone that has never heard of Grindr.
Grindr is a social platform for gay men to basically meet. And these days, more than ever, basically for a sexual experience, more so than a social or a friendship experience.
Grindr is an online app. It will show you a grid of pictures of where men are at, generally within the meter. It can tell you how close they are. And then the stats that they've chosen to put on there. So some people might put photographs, they'll put their age, a description of themselves, and potentially what they're looking for.
With online apps, you're literally looking at a person's profile and going, yep, I'm going to screw this tonight. I'm not interested in what you sound like. I'm not interested in what you have to say, what you do for work. I just want your body. I want to sleep with your body, and I want to dispose of it as soon as I can possibly do it.
You get on your app, and what do you see? Shirtless men, one after another, after another, after another. You're basically shopping. For any single gay man, or gay man just generally, that's what you are subjected to. That's what you think you need to be, to look like, to be appealing to someone.
So I've actually got some Grindr profiles that I would like you to read out on camera.
Okay.
All I want you to do is just read them out in front of camera.
Okay.
Are they live profiles?
No, just a written word. Mark it.
Thank you.
I'm scared now. Okay, thank you.
You're very brave of giving your phone, man. Okay.
I only speak to people who have a real face pic. Not into fat guys, not into older guys, not into femme guys, not into hairy guys.
Genuine, fit, ambitious, good for you. All right. Into traveling, gym, beach, hiking, ideally looking for a regular but open to whatever.
Must be athletic, muscular. Face pic first or no chat. Can prove I'm real and so should you.
Love to chat and explore sexual kinks. Oh, yeah, cool.
Currently in the process of becoming a twunk through gym and food. I would love your help.
Bulk up and get beefy with me. I do have photos to send. Okay.
No pics, no stats, no chat. Yeah, fair enough.
No pics, no stats, no chat. Gross.
No pics, no stats, no chat. Okay, that's a waste of time.
Into masculine and muscular. Okay, I'm out.
Be serious about fitness, genuine and not fake. We're 90% compatible. How would you know though? Like, how would you know you're 90% compatible with the person just because the person goes to the gym and is into fitness?
Career-focused, honest Italian. My routine, eat, gym, eat, work, eat, sleep.
Eat, gym, eat, work, eat, sleep. Wow.
Follow my fitness journey on Instagram. This is how people get followers.
Follow my fitness journey on Instagram. It goes on.
I'm attracted to guys with a gym toned body. No pic, no chat. Sounds like everyone else.
I exercise daily and manage my diet to stay healthy, but I don't obsess over body image.
That's a lie. Because if you exercise daily and maintain a diet to stay healthy, that means you technically obsess over what you look like. Right?
However, with that said, I prefer people in shape. Yep.
If initiate, then swap pics like Caucasians, white, Euro, woke, tradies, gym lad, twink. Respect the discipline of masculinity. Please keep it under 40, slim, fit, or muscle. Respect the discipline of masculinity.
I can host. My weakness is Caucasians, but all are welcome.
Please be plus or minus 10 years around my age and not too large body. Eventually a relationship, but it is hard to find Mr. Right. These are legit. Legit?
Yep, these are real. These are completely real.
My God.
Prefer to see a face pic, not interested in anyone older. I'm not Asians. I don't know why people keep asking me that. What's wrong with being Asians? But obviously for this person, it is such a confronting thing. I'm being mistaken as an Asian person. And Asian men in the gay community, in the gay culture, the gay scene is still seen as the lower end of the hierarchy of attraction and desire. So obviously for this person, being mistaken as an Asian is an insult.
Please don't be old. Just be sexy. Because you can't be both. Okay.
Okay, so I genuinely don't understand this age concept that people have, because somebody could be 25 and look like they're 57.
Don't bother if older than 37 years old. Be realistic. Okay, thanks.
Muscular, fit, discreet, looking for straight acting, fit tops under 30. Well, good luck with that in Melbourne.
Into fit, masculine equals straight acting, good looking guys, no strings attached. Anonymous, clearly I'm not looking for friends either.
So what's straight acting again?
Every time I see the word straight acting, I know that I'm not one of those. Fit, masculine, straight acting, and good looking guys. Well, what's good looking? What's good looking for one person is different to another.
It's funny, it's funny, I'm actually remembering quite a lot of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I do read.
Yeah. Me too.
Racial preference is sexual racism. I'm not telling you who to love, but be open to possibilities. People are people.
The dating pool in our community is limited enough. Why close yourself?
Love the person, not the race. You are enough. That's refreshing.
There's a lot of pain in that one profile that they felt the need to actually communicate it to others.
Personal trainer, nutritionist, counselling student. Question.
What is worse than discrimination from straight people?
Answer. Discrimination from gay people. Very true.
Discrimination from gay people. Amen.
Discrimination from gay people. True that. On point. Couldn't summarise it better.
Discrimination from gay people.
Discrimination from gay people. I like that, as long as you don't discriminate yourself. I really do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
So, how does that make you feel?
We're fucked up. Seriously fucked up as a community. How the hell are we ever going to mend as a group, as a people? How are we ever going to be able to unite as a community? People are writing this, putting these words on a platform where pretty much nearly every gay man in the world is on. That's so sad. We're so fucked up.
Some of it's disgusting. It is so exclusionary. Some of them were actually really hard to read because it is blatant racism, ageism. It's everything that I think that we should detest in our community because we go through enough hardship just coming out. So why are we making it so much harder for ourselves?
People wouldn't say these things in life, like to person to person. You're not going to be like, no femme queens, no Asians. You need to have this particular body type. Like you're not saying that. You're only saying that online because you feel like you can be confident to say that. So it's giving you this medium, this platform to be able to speak your mind.
Do you think that the discrimination is a consequence of the platform itself, so Grindr itself, or the people who are on the platform?
I don't think it's so much the app itself. I think it's people who are on the app.
Some would say that we've seen the worst in the gay community is on Grindr, but it's actually not. Even out there in the gay scene, we replicate that sentiment about who we should find attractive. It's just a manifestation of what normally happens in real world. Again, it's written down so we can actually see it and read it.
So someone does have this centralised idea that how you look determines your overall sense of worth, then that can mean that they will hold that standard to others and therefore regard someone who looks a particular way to have a greater sense of worth and someone who doesn't look a particular way to have a lower sense of worth. It can create an environment where people feel okay discriminating against other people who don't look in a particular way. Together with that, what we need to understand is that many people in the gay community have experienced their own form of discrimination in one way or another. And sometimes enacting similar discrimination onto others can actually help them feel a little bit better about their own discrimination because it normalises their experience.
I've been around some groups of guys and it has made me frustrated how they so quickly to just dismiss someone based on how they look or how they dress. And it's just concerning because they don't actually know the person. It gets to a point where we become mean girls and essentially say people can't sit with us.
I've overheard guys in clubs rip people apart for their bodies, particularly those who may have had a bit to drink and want to get in the party and take their shirt off, and all of a sudden you'll hear a gaggle of queens going, check her out. I wouldn't be doing that, look at that. Like, it's disgusting.
I think a lot of people do pass judgment on that first look. So not even an impression, it's that first look, that gaze across the room. Whether it's the sniggering comment into a close friend's ear, and sometimes, unfortunately, laughing about it. That laughing with you or you laughing about them can be really tough.
If we're talking the gay community, I feel like I'm being discriminated against because of my age. We're talking general community, I never feel that. It's only from my own people that I feel that, which always makes me laugh because I always think to myself, if you discriminate against me due to my age, you're actually discriminating against your future self. I was a new kid in the block when I came out, so I was this wog boy from Springvale who hit the scene. There's a young person who's just come out who's reasonably attractive. All of a sudden the attention's on them. It wasn't even a blatant awareness. It's when you have a group of people telling you that you're attractive or whatever, you all of a sudden start to believe it and work with it. So I was very lucky back then. It was again, a whole different scene.
How did it feel to kind of get that attention when you were younger?
It's euphoric, particularly when you come out and you think you're the only person in your situation, particularly when you have this fear that you will be rejected by everyone around you, that life will be challenging, life will be difficult, that you'll be persecuted, particularly when your family disown you. That was the most horrendous thing. So all of a sudden be put up on a pedestal and said, hey, you're actually fabulous. That changed my life, yeah. When I was sort of 25, 26, I remember hearing a group of older gay guys, and I remember them saying to me, once you hit 30, it's over. No one's going to want you. The bitter and twisted old queens. And I remember that was so in my mind. I thought, oh, shit. And true story, I was 30 years of age. I was driving on the freeway. I was about to go to my 30th birthday party. I pulled to the side of the road and I vomited because I was fearful of turning 30. 30 sounded so old. I think as gay men, we're not really taught to respect the ageing process because we don't have many people to look up to. I think older gay men tend to go away from the gay scene because they don't feel desirable, or they may feel stupid, or they may feel irrelevant in a way. I mean, I'm finding that myself, that I cringe at going out now because I feel creepy in a way. I feel like I don't belong, I shouldn't be there. It's like I should just leave it to the younger guys. But if I want to go out and socialise, I would go to a club on my own. People, my friends just won't go. I'll go into a venue and people stare, but I'm left alone. I'm not, and even I might smile at someone and then you have this gaggle of queens laughing and whatever else, and I feel isolated, I feel I haven't really had this conversation with other people in my age group because I would often in my 20s look at people in their 50s or 60s in a gay bar on their own, and you think how tragic. And all of a sudden I become that man. And I always promised myself I wouldn't be that man, and I've become that man if I do go out alone. So that's why I've stopped going out alone. When you're on Grindr, I've actually had people send me a message saying, "Fuck off, you dirty old queen." I just looked at the profile. It was soul destroying. I punish myself. I absolutely punish myself. I look at myself in the mirror and I genuinely see a fat old man. I'm comparing myself to men in their 20s and 30s. It's absurd. We are obsessed with youth, and guilty as charged. I find myself being attracted to younger men more so than I would be men my age. Then again, I don't have any benchmarks. I don't have anyone to look at in my age group to even see or follow or use it as my benchmark. I'll often try to chat to men my age, and they're after the younger guys. So, like, it's really hard to meet someone who's even your own age group, who's interested in meeting you because they're after somebody 20 years younger. And there goes that horrible that circle and that obsession with youth.
Because of the general focus on younger men as being the norm within the gay community, there is going to be this idea that in order to be worthwhile in that community, you need to be of a particular age. We do know that gay men have much more trouble aging than straight men or men from other communities.
Based on body image, we exclude a lot of people. I think we forget that there is more to people than just having a good body with no 0% body fat or being a certain height or being a certain color. We promote being inclusive, but we exclude a lot of people by doing that. We exclude ourselves sometimes because we think we're not good enough to be a part of this group that we are in, that group that we belong to. And as a gay man, sometimes I feel like I do that with myself. I exclude myself from a lot of things, a lot of events, because I don't think I belong. I don't think I'm good enough to be a part of it. And I think that is what the problem is, you know?
Whilst, we talk about diversity, are we truly diverse? I think we're getting there. I think we're a lot better than where we were when I first came out, where as a young gay New Zealander, the colour of my skin, sometimes I felt like I was the fetish because I was the only person of colour in the room. You know, being Asian is not a kink. Being African American is not a kink. You know, or our body shape is not a kink. It's just who we are.
When the community talk about equality and equity, we mostly talk about legal, systemic issues and ensuring that our human rights are not being taken away from us. And our human rights include the rights to exist, the rights to be safe, and the rights to access health, education, and all the stuff that are important and crucial to us without any discrimination. When it comes to equality in relation to the body, in relation to racial equality, somehow we are not there yet. Why is it that a lot of people of color, me as an Asian person, still experiencing discrimination based on our race, right? We need to start investigating that. We need to start looking into concept of the body, not just on the physicality of whether you are athletic or not, but also the body as in the skin color. Our skin color is part of our body. I grew up in Indonesia. I came to Australia when I was 18, and that's to study. I had to make myself comfortable in a new environment. Everything's different. I have to speak English every day, have to learn a new education system. I was searching for my identity. I was searching some affirmation about being same-sex attracted and about being gay. The sexuality bit, surprisingly, on my first year, wasn't such a big issue. But there was the time before I entered the gay scene. When I started getting to know the gay scene, that's where a lot of that stories came out. For a lot of us, the scene is the only place that we could be ourselves. That sense of I finally find my community clashes with the sense of I'm also being excluded. Yes, you are one of us, but you're Asian, so you're not really one of us. But you're not really muscular, so you're not really one of us. But you're also quite effeminate, so you're not really one of us. So that contradictions coexisting, it doesn't sit exclusively opposite each other. It actually existing at the same time. And no one can tell me whether that feeling is wrong or right, because that's how I feel. I didn't realize how much that conflicting messages actually had an impact on my mental health and my sense of belonging until I actually had a breakdown and gone, where am I what am I? Like, where am I supposed to be? Where is my community? You know, am I actually belonging anywhere? I just felt so lost. I felt so disconnected. I felt that no matter what I did, I could never be one of them. I hated my ethnicity for a very long time. I know intellectually it's something that I can't change, something that I'm actually quite proud of. But emotionally, it's also something that I struggle with. Would my life be easier had I been born white? Would I gain more acceptance had I been white? How come my white friends can easily navigate themselves into different groups that exist in the community, in the scene, while I was struggling with it? But I just want to be loved. I just want to be desired. Why is it that the system keep putting me down just for the simple fact that I have brown skin and I am from Asia? We read through some of the Grindr profiles, into Caucasians only. only find white men attractive. Some people would say that's fine because it is just a preference. If our social norms, if our culture constantly telling us that you have to find white, young, athletic, muscular men as attractive, then we will actually believe that's attraction. All of these expectations, standard of beauty is being put on us to make us feel that that's our entry into the wider gay community. But the white men still dictate when the gate is to be opened and when the gate is to be closed. You can be Asian as long as you go to the gym, that you look a certain way, that you fit with the athletic, muscular standard, then we might find you attractive. We might let you in to our world without us actually realizing it's an empty promise. If the community is not brave enough to actually address race and racism that persists, if the community is not courageous enough to address whiteness, then we are still a victim of racial inequality that exists in the gay community.
One of the really important things in this conversation is the notion of internalised homophobia. And what this means is that people can develop a really negative view of who they are based on what they are. So when someone grows up and they're struggling with their sexuality, they can often experience negative reactions from others. Younger people are typically bullied if they are gay or if they present in a particularly effeminate way. And what this often means is that people grow up with this idea that there's something inherently wrong with who they are, and that people can actually dislike the fact that this is who they are, dislike the fact that they're gay. And so if someone's in a community where there is this body ideal, will strive to fit within that community, to look a particular way in this instance, in order to counter that negative idea of themselves. And this might not just manifest in terms of body image and looking a particular way. It might manifest in someone wanting to present themselves as particularly successful, present themselves as having a particular kind of status, openly present their achievements to the world, to their friends, to social media, in order to counter this idea that they're in some way not good enough.
Does social media have an impact on how gay men feel about body image? What are your thoughts around social
Does
media?
social media have an impact on how gay men feel about body image and themselves? Yes, 100%. Because you have Instagram influencers, you have Twitter profiles, you have TikTok kids who all have these beautiful bodies. People idolize these profiles that they have never met these people in their entire life, but they worship them like gods, you know?
One of the huge risk factors within social media is that people will pose often photos of their bodies, often photos with their shirts off, and that this can really create these sense of comparison.
And once we start comparing ourselves of, I don't look like this or they look like that, we start to then go, oh, do I fit this? So that can actually be really hard to face into.
And we're all somehow being drawn into that vortex. It's nuts.
Like, I look at my Explore feature on Instagram, and it's just like hot men with muscles and shirtless, and then there's an occasional cat and a drag queen. But I like, when I'm going through all of that, I'm like, cat, drag queen. Like, I'm picking out the odd things out now.
Social media has influenced and molded us to how we think as well, because in order to be Instagram famous and have 200,000 followers, you need to have that kind of body.
And I think it's ridiculous how also how many likes people get when they rip their shirts off. That people are craving that attention.
It's a natural human drive to want to experience validation from others. Validation often provides a boost to someone's confidence. It often provides a sense of stability to who they are and what they're doing. When people are in the gay community, often that sense of validation can be very much connected with how they look and what their body is like.
I've got friends who will delete and repost the same photo 2 or 3 weeks later on just so that they can get the achieved number of likes that they want.
And I see it all the time when I post a picture of myself. I'm like, oh look, here's a picture of my cat. Oh, no one's interested in that. And then I post a picture of my body, you know, it's just like, my DM is lit up with like a lot of fire emojis. So I'm like, wow, I guess you want to see more of my body than my cat.
You know, I'm guilty of that, of consuming information and seeing someone that I personally think is attractive and then going, oh, okay, well, I'm going to like that.
The more likes we're giving to people who are selling their body image as being positive, the more they feel impelled to create more content that is similar or even more risque to get even more likes. I mean, it's a bit of a boost when you get a like that from one person, let alone thousands. So how do you top that?
A lot of the content that we see, I call it manufactured. It's engineered to look a particular way because people don't really want to show the worst of themselves. They just want to show the best of themselves. So it just creates this culture within social media that we only can be producing the best of us.
You can take a photo, you can add filters, and a lot of the filters you can now use can be quite advanced. So you can change your body type, you can change the way you look, and then post that as a representation of yourself.
But then it can kind of backfire on them because you have given a false identity to yourself, and when someone doesn't see the way that you look and you look differently, they may think it's more of an alias.
But they look really hot, really sexy, really appealing. Then you meet them at the gym and they're skinny and their skin's bad and they're short. But had I not met them in person, I would have been thinking that person is who I should be. I mean, my God, look at them, they're amazing.
And as a young gay adolescent, you already feel like an outcast to the rest of the world. So when you first come out into the community, you have it in your head that, oh, this is the person that I want to talk to, because it's the only person that you've been exposed to.
So for people who are younger gay men, there's a great deal of maturation that's occurring. There's also for people who are gay men, they're often dealing with their own sexuality, often trying to navigate their way. And a big part of that is about this drive to find themselves. And what that often means is that people can be more impressionable, they can be more driven by the environment that's kind of around them because they're searching for something that provides them with a greater sense of meaning.
Do you think it's important to have drag queens in the gay community?
I think it's very important to have drag queens because from as long as we can remember, drag queens have molded the earth. No, I'm joking. So my drag name is Miss J. And so basically I am a 42-year-old white woman whose husband is cheating on her with the secretary. But she's okay because she's got all the money in the world. She has that rich Texas housewife hairstyle. She's got all the diamonds, she's got all the pearls, and she's got dresses galore and shoes galore. So I'm in gowns, I'm in pantsuits, I'm in short dresses with coats to match. That is the kind of drag I embody, and that is the kind of drag that makes me feel beautiful and empowered, you know? Like how gay men have that chiseled body to make them powerful, I do drag to make myself powerful. Before I did drag, I would not have even been in the gay scene, to be honest, very much. I wasn't big enough to be a bear. I wasn't hairy enough to be a bear cub or an otter. I wasn't skinny enough to be a twink. I wasn't muscular skinny to be a twunk, or I wasn't a bodybuilder. So I had a very odd way of trying to fit myself in because I was none of those things. But what made it harder, which is also going to sound very controversial, was I was a colored person. And that was hard already. Because I would have thought, maybe as a colored person, if I had a 6-pack, 6'2", chisel face, chisel body, maybe I would have fit in a bit more. Because I was neither of the two, I guess I didn't fit in. Drag brings out what I wish I could do as a boy, which I can't, because drag at the end of the day is a mask for me, and I do it so that I can do what I want to do as a boy, but in drag. I want to help the future generation. I can't do that as a boy. Nobody's going to look at me. So I'll do it in drag. Yeah, so it does bring out the best in me. And sometimes the worst too. Really just depends. When I'm in drag, these gay boys seek the validation. So they come up to you, they chat with you, they expect you to validate them, they expect you to be kind to them, they expect you to be nice. And it's strange because they'll have a full-blown conversation with you in drag. And it's happened on multiple occasions where if you go out dressed as a boy and say hello to the same people, these people would not look at you. They will not be interested in you because you don't fit the idea of what their friends should look like. People are so set in their ways, or they have an idea of what their social surroundings should look like, what the bodies of peoples around them should look like, that they forget to be nice. They forget to treat people like humans because they're so busy creating that TikTok fantasy or that Instagram-worthy picture where all 12 of their friends look exactly the same. And then they wonder why sometimes people in the external world ostracize them. I talk about how gay men seek the validation of drag queens, but at the end of the day, drag queens seek the same validation from the gay community. Like RuPaul's Drag Race, for example, is basically a glorified platform for seeking validation from one person. So can you imagine what it's like being in the gay world? RuPaul tells them, oh, this is not great, change that. And they go, oh no, I have to change this in order to be approved of, That is what it is.
So what would be the difference between how you felt before you did drag to how you feel now?
Before I did drag, I would not have the voice I have today. Before I did drag, I wouldn't be confident. Drag has helped me mold myself into the person I want to be or want to become, which means then I can help the future generation. I can help the younger gay boys with moving forward, being comfortable with themselves, coming into the scene. I found someone, and now I want to be that someone for somebody else. Yeah.
Sadly, part of our human nature is not only to create a sense of belonging, but that sense of belonging comes at the expense of excluding others. It's part of our human nature.
Humans are horrible, really. We don't live harmoniously with each other. We seem to always be in contradiction within even our own subcultures. We seem to sometimes concentrate on what drives us apart instead of what drives us together.
We want to maintain this illusion that to be gay is to be white, masculine, muscular, middle class. That's just an illusion.
We often fly the flag of diversity and equality and touting how important that is with our community. Yet we discriminate so fiercely within our own group.
For some reason we have accepted it for people to be mean to each other when really they have no right to. You need to treat a human like a human. You need to have the empathy towards them, because if you don't do that, we really have any humanity left.
The stories that we told 20 years ago is still the same story that we heard now. And that makes me think, have we not changed? Have we keep repeating the same sense of alienation, and for what purpose?
I think people have stopped looking out for one another because they're so worried about making sure that they are satisfied. I don't care about you because I'm not looking out for myself. I'm making sure that I look good. I'm making sure that I've got the best things around me. I'm making sure that I'm the first to be in line. It's all me, me, me. We, us as a collective, have forgotten how to behave.
The reality in our community is beauty is still constructed in a certain way. The reality in our community is that there is still a very strong standard of beauty. The reality in our community is we are yet to have the conversation about beauty beyond the body.
So people might say that they're only attracted to a certain body type and that there's nothing wrong with that. What's problematic about that is when people are actively discriminating against other people for looking a particular way, and that's what we can avoid.
It is difficult enough for white gay men to gain acceptance in society and within the community itself. Imagine if you're not white. Imagine if you are femme. Imagine if you are old. The struggles is even more. So we need to ask ourselves that question. Where do we want to take this community? Do we want to take it back to the way it was? Or do we want to start listening, embracing, and challenging the status quo so we can evolve to the next stage?
One of the really important things to overcome this is to diversify our opinion about what defines someone's worth. That someone's worth is not defined by how they look, what job they have, or any other singular part of who they are. Rather, someone's worth is, and who someone is a collection of a whole range of things, whether they be positive traits, negative traits, things they like, things they don't like.
If you have people that are just like you, they're not going to keep you in check. So you need people that can actually question you if you're doing the right thing.
One of the things that can be really helpful for gay men, particularly younger gay men, is to really diversify the contacts that they have within the gay community. So to resist the temptation to only associate with people who are like them, but to rather associate with people who are from different age groups, different body shapes, different ethnicities, and to really have a much less homogenous experience of the gay community.
What do we lose if we don't integrate? We are losing the ability to exchange ideas, to challenge the status quo, and to come together to a middle ground, to actually make the community grow and become stronger.
Whilst we have the internet, apps and other ways of communicating, I think there's still a human need to come together physically and then come together in our tribes, but also then breaking down those walls of those tribes to rebuild them again and rebuild them fresh and new. You know, it is the work of each step of making us more diverse, having broader conversations and making a space where everyone feels welcome.
If we over time start changing the perspective and ideas of what we need to look like or what we should look like and focus on what makes us happy, I think we can then go from being excluded to being included a lot easier.
So what this can do and mean is that we create a much more accepting environment amongst the community rather than one that could be segregated or could have these judgments and focus on how someone looks. So if people are having a negative sense of their own body image, there are a range of things that they can and probably should do. One of the really important things is to seek professional help, and there are a range of professionals that have expertise in this area and are really able to assist people to change the outlook that they might have on themselves and the attitude they might have about their body image. Together with that, it's really important to find what are the sorts of things that might trigger their sense of body image, you know, so it might be social media. So to temper that, it might be to reduce or restrict the use of social media or the kinds of social media that they engage in, or to approach it in a way where you're able to reflect on it and appreciate that perhaps this is not the entire reality or the entire story of what's going on.
I find myself teetering between sometimes being obsessive about the way I look to not giving a flying fuck at all. And I'm at my happiest when I don't care.
We are very critical in ourselves, and nothing good is going to come out of that. You shouldn't be ashamed of who you are. You are exceptional. You are beautiful. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be respected. And you deserve to be happy.
Embrace your true self. When you embrace your true self, you become confident. You automatically become who you want to be, and so then the body image does not affect you in any way. You have to believe that you are beautiful. You have to believe that you are enough. You have to believe that you are worthy.
Sexiness is very subjective. Sexiness comes in all different sizes, all different shapes, all different colors. You know, intelligence is sexy. Sexy doesn't need to be an Olympic gymnast.
People gravitate towards happiness. Nobody wants to be friends with a mean person. People want to be friends with a happy-go-lucky person. People want to be friends with people who are nice and kind.
I think people would have such an incredible experience getting to know people, getting to hear people's stories, hear people's experiences. If we were able to look at this and this first, and then that.
Just remember, stop seeking that validation from somebody else. Do what makes you happy. Be happy. You're enough. And there will be somebody out there who will love you for the way you are, not for the way you look like, not for the way you talk, not for the way you speak, but will just love you genuinely for what you have to offer for the world. You are important, even if you don't believe that right now.
Should we feel guilty if we are attracted to a certain body type? No, because the last thing that we need is for people to feel guilty and again create another layer of prejudice and discrimination. Oh, you are only into stereotypes. Oh, you are like this, you are like that. No, we don't want that. What do we want to have is for people to actually starting this conversation about the gay culture. Who shaped it? Who's benefiting from it? Who's being marginalized from it? And how can we move forward? The strength of the community is our ability to come together. When we are confronted with an issue that is integral to our human rights and well-being, we are united. We are diverse in our views. We are diverse in our opinions. We are diverse in our thinking of how we can get there, but we still work together. The body is an issue in general society, and the body is an issue in the gay community. Name it. Put it at the forefront of people's thinking, and the next step is let's do something about it. So let's do it. Let's change the world. Let's do something. And scene.